So here we are again with the warrior and the world above him enlightened again. And we now come to Goat's Head Soup, the last of the Jimmy Miller albums of the Rolling Stones before he completely drowned in drugs. And this one I have for you, it's a bit superficial, not to say shallow, flattened record, more pop-like, but it has Angie on it. It has Angie on it, and Angie is one of the most lovable ever ballads I happen to listen to. A gorgeous, an almost divine song with those wonderful guitar string sounds. Acoustically accompanying the voice of Mick Jagger with his uh, deep and very melancholic ballad of Angie. I have it for you, the album, in three different pressings. This is a repress from out of the Abbey Road. It has an inner sleeve, as you can see, of the Goat's Head Soup. If you need it. And it's a half-speed mastering again. And what I told you earlier before is also to be said about this one. Please avoid it. It's pretty lifeless, though it has some bass. The um, the gap that this early German pressing from whenever one of the first ones, they were sold millions of it, so you can have them at almost, you can buy them at any corner. Any record store almost has one. So these are the original German ones with the A-B matrices in the end. It's not difficult to get, and the gap and yeah, they're not so much ahead of what they produced later on because the record as a whole isn't that deep, that influential, that new, that raw, that rock and roll like. From then on, there will be the 70s and the great era of pop from It's Only Rock and Roll on to Some Girls in the late 70s. And here I have for you what is called a counterfeit. Let's shortly, briefly talk about counterfeit. This is a clear counterfeit. There's a stamper just printed on a blank cover with Maria Fells written on it. And then there's here a label, a black label. There's a gamma sign on it. And I think they just removed the old label, printed something that is nearly blank on it. And they must have also manipulated the dead wax because what's etched in here, and his hand etched, by the way, is a MF, supposedly stands for Maria Fells, whoever that lady was. I doubt that she really was existing. 001, and then it's minus A and minus B. And matrices like this usually don't exist. So that's typical for a counterfeit. A counterfeit, just to explain it briefly, is an unofficial release of a release. So a record that has been released in a certain way is released again and is released illegally without permission. A bootleg is something different. Bootleg is a release of an unofficial release. So something that has never been released as a record, like a live concert or anything, a cut of a live concert, is released as a record for the first time. That's something way different. Here you have a counterfeit, and many of these a great, important, or not so important albums are being counterfeit. And they always have to watch out to not get a counterfeit. Selling counterfeits is illegal, but nevertheless is done quite frequently, often, and almost anywhere. Sound mainly is inferior. The sound of this one is okay, and I think They just took a regular press from I don't know where, from somewhere in the world, and released it as a counterfeited one under that label. So it would sound well if it weren't that used and it weren't such a beat up copy as it is. Goat's Head Soup. Wherever you drown, whether you drown in a soup, you drown in drugs, or you drown in modern pops, nevertheless, the Stones will survive and will emerge to different periods of great rock and roll music from there on. Goodbye.